Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a very long time. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and me and my boyfriend Andrew have been together for 7 years. You may have been following this channel back since 2017, since I started this on my Disney college program, did the Disney college vlogging thing for a little bit. Gave up vlogging during COVID after I lost my job with Disney, which I wish that I didn't, because once COVID kind of settled down, that's when my boyfriend Andrew and I started doing crazy travels. We've been everywhere, like the Matterhorn to go skiing in Switzerland. We've been to even Antarctica. We've been skiing in France. We've just been traveling the world, and I wish that I had documented it all better. I of course have videos and pictures on my phone, but I wish that I kind of stuck to the vlogging thing. We've done crazy challenges like eating at every single restaurant on Walt Disney World property. Literally, I have a whole Excel spreadsheet showcasing that, and we still keep up with it because we're still pass holders. We did the same thing at Universal. We did the same thing at Disneyland in California and Universal Studios in Hollywood, as well as some international Disney parks like Disneyland Paris, which I do have some of those recorded. So I've picked back up vlogging last year, and I'm excited. I've got all the materials, and mostly, even if this takes us nowhere, it's just for us and a good way to store our memories. So hopefully you stick around and follow along now that I'm more committed to vlogging. As you can see, things like Disneyland Paris last year, some Disney adventures and theme park adventures over the last year and a half since early 2025, as well as Tomorrowland Summer last year, 2025, Tomorrowland Winter this year. So we have been more committed to it, so I'm kind of excited to continue vlogging. But anyway, let's get to the content. So today's video is one that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and it's going to be all about Tomorrowland Summer and Tomorrowland Winter and kind of comparing the two and full information on both. So it is going to be quite lengthy, but please stick around even if you're not planning on going to both, so you can get all the content for whichever festival or both that you're going to. And the reason why I want to do this is we found, Andrew and I, that it is so difficult to find information on Tomorrowland. A lot of people just don't blog it or vlog it. It's challenging because it's just, if you're a house music EDM fan, it's the creme de la creme. Like, the standard that everybody's going for is to go to Tomorrowland, especially Tomorrowland Summer. So it's really hard to find information on, and we struggled with that. Nobody knows what the accommodations like. People just don't vlog it for some reason, and again, maybe that's more of a European thing, living in the moment, which I love. And as you know, if you've watched some of our other videos, we are trying to move to Europe within the next year. We've started spending a lot more time there every year, whether that be quick weekend trips or being there for about 30 days at a time. So we are working on that personally, and hopefully by this time next year we'll be there about 6 months out of the year. And Andrew's not here right now because I'm more of the talker and the information giver, but we did collaborate on this list. So let's get into it. We're going to be talking about Tomorrowland Summer versus Tomorrowland Winter. Again, I recommend going to both of the playlists, which I'll link down below, and watching through all the videos, because I talk about a lot of our experiences through those, but hopefully I'm going to consolidate this into one video to make it easier to learn kind of about each, give you some of my tips and tricks and things that I wish that I knew, and also some hot takes about how we feel. So first off, let's talk about getting tickets to Tomorrowland Summer versus Tomorrowland Winter. So first off, you have to go to tomorrowland.com and make an account in advance. Make sure you sign up for the emails, because that's the way you're going to be notified when tickets are actually going to drop. They are very good with their email communication, in the sense of, like, they'll let you know, hey, in 1 month we're going to be opening the tickets, here's the date, here's the time. Make sure you do the time conversion based off where you are in the world, because they do give you the Belgium time zone, which is typically European time zone. So if you're on the East Coast like me, it's typically 6 hours ahead. But do, of course, make sure you're checking that ahead of time and be prepared, and make your account in advance. So make an account. That account is good for no matter what Tomorrowland you're going to, whether it's summer, winter, Thailand, Brazil, which are of course on our bucket list, because you know us, if we do one, we have to do everything. So make sure you do make that account. let's talk about Summer first. So what'll happen is they'll email you, and Summer, of course, being the creme de la creme, taking place in Boom, Belgium, the one that's been around the longest, you want to make sure that you are prepared day of. This is not just a, oh, I'm gonna roll in and jump in the queue right on time or even 5 minutes after. No, we had our devices open, logged in, and ready an hour before. It doesn't matter what time you do get in that queue. I'd recommend, 5 minutes before, just to make sure your devices are working. But we got in that virtual, like, hey, the waiting room will open soon, just to kind of make sure our screens were working, our Wi-Fi was working, our backup Wi-Fi was working. We just wanted to be extra prepared. So we did that. And Tomorrowland Summer, I can't talk too much about the experience. So we did try for our first official time, like seriously try to go in 2024. And we didn't get in, or we got in, but we didn't get through to the accommodation we wanted. And we had very specific stuff that we wanted, so we decided to forego it. And then 2025, we got lucky and got in. So a big reason why I recommend making your account now for no matter what time you want to go is every year they will email you and they will tell you, hey, our simulation shop is going to open. What's the simulation shop? The simulation shop is where it literally takes you, and it's the best thing that they do. They takes you through the process. The screens will look exactly the same. You just actually will not, of course, be purchasing anything. This will also be your opportunity to read about the accommodations, read about the discovery trips that they do. So like Discover Belgium, which we did, Discover Europe, whatever that might be. Definitely do the simulation shop. They do this for winter as well, but of course winter's a little bit different because there's no like discovery trips. It's all a 1 week thing. So the only one that has like those extra extensions that Tomorrowland coordinates is summer. Make your account in advance, practice the simulation shops. That's where we were able to really view and understand what accommodation do we want. And I'm gonna link down below the exact video I have that gives a really good tour of Dreamville, because that was so hard to find. Of course, I cannot go in all the accommodations, but I will show you in that video, hey, this is what Dreamville looks like, and this is what our accommodation looks like, and this is what like Montago looks like, because we stayed in the special section of Montago. But again, recommend doing that. For Tomorrowland Winter, you can go directly to the hotel's website or look at the Airbnbs, which is great. So that one's a little bit easier, but anyway, simulation shop will help you kind of decide what you want and allow you to see the process. So on the day, like I mentioned, be prepared. Tomorrowland Summer is very difficult. We just purely got lucky on our second year actually trying in 2025 to get in with the exact accommodation we wanted. We had a backup accommodation. We had like 3 that we would be okay with. Our non-negotiables was number 1, air conditioning. That was super, super important to us because the weather is varied. A lot of times in Belgium, like we got lucky that weekend, the weather was beautiful. It was like 60s at night, low 70s. So you could have slept easily without air conditioning, but sometimes it can be hot as heck. It can be raining. So just think about what's important to you. Like, is it important to you to like be able to survive Tomorrowland, like, and really, really enjoy yourself, or like kind of like maybe have some rough sleeping nights? And we're campers. If you follow us on Instagram, you see we do crazy ultra marathons. I'm not afraid to get muddy at all. But for me, just like for Tomorrowland, for the ease of like, we do have like a full camping backpack and camping gear. We didn't want to lug that to Europe and check an extra bag. So for us, that's just what we were looking for, but just kind of think about what you want. So in 2025, we got lucky, as I mentioned. I was able to get us in. Andrew was in another state. We were both trying from our devices, and I got us in, got exactly what we wanted. So we ended up getting Montago, and then we got the Maravella accommodation, which again, link down below if you want to take a tour. And this year we're actually staying in the ensuite. So let me explain a little bit about what Montago is. This is not like a VIP area or anything. I mean, you could kind of consider it that, but it does not come with VIP, but it's basically just like a separate town, let's call it, of Dreamville. Like, it's still in the overall Dreamville, but let's call it like a neighborhood, right? So there's overall Dreamville, where like first you'll see all of the tents, which I've heard from a friend who's camped for the last 7 years that pitching your tent is first come, first serve. So we'll talk about kind of how we get to Dreamville a little bit later. And then there's some nicer tents, like a little bit more like glamping, that like they pitch for you. And then there is other options. Like, I don't really know off the top of my head, but when you see the Dreamville tour, you can kind of figure it out. And then there's Montago, which is like a separate neighborhood. In Montago, we have our own separate pool and hot tubs. We have our own like breakfast restaurant. We have our own like food stands in there. We have our own hair and makeup. Everything is just like a little more elevated. So the glamping is like a little more elevated. Instead of like just like a public like outdoor beach shower, your showers are in individual stalls. And I did go into the showers and the like bathrooms to see, and they were absolutely stunning, super clean, even by the end of the day Sunday. So that was really nice for the people who used those. Of course, in Maravella, as you saw, we had our own bathroom. This year, the only difference really between the Maravella and the ensuite is the ensuite is actually bigger, which I'm really excited about, because if you watched our video, or if you watched the video, you see that the luggage was a struggle because we were on the road for 4 weeks and we had these big checked bags, nowhere to put them because like the under the bed was pure wood, so we couldn't like slide anything under the bed like I thought we could. And the ensuite is bigger, so we are excited about that because again, unfortunately, we will be on the road for like 4 weeks. The Montago, like I said, is kind of like its own separate neighborhood. You have to have the Montago access to scan in. They're very strict about that, which is cool for like safety. You must scan in and out of the festival, in and out of Montago. And even if you're staying in Dreamville, like there's scanners you have to go through. Like even me leaving Montago, I want to go to General Dreamville to go to like the Thursday, of course, at the Dreamville stage, whatever that might be. You have to scan at all times, which is cool because like if somebody like, God forbid, goes missing or something, like they can kind of like, and you're looking for a friend, you can go, you know, to Tomorrowland and be like, hey, can you tell me where this person last scanned in or out? So anyway, so that's a little bit about the accommodations. Also in the simulation package, you not only get to practice your lodging, but you get to explore the different Discover XYZ options. I can't speak too much, and I won't bore you and speak too much about those because you can find that on your own. That information is very easy to find, but it is easier to get tickets, I do know this, to Tomorrowland Summer if you are willing to do a Discover blah, blah, blah option. So we opted for Discover Belgium first because, as I've said, we're world travelers. We have not been to Belgium yet at the time, and we heard that it was like a fully coordinated trip, which I'll speak more about. They do everything kind of like for you, and they take you around, and like you leave feeling like you really saw Belgium. And that's our big thing for like when we go to a country, we need to really leave and feel like we saw that country. And that's how I feel about Belgium. I feel if I never went back there again, I would be totally fine. They take you to the major cities and everything, so it was absolutely great and worth it. But I've heard the other ones are great too. And this summer I'll be making a video because we are doing another Discover, I think this one's Discover Europe. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but ours is taking us to Amsterdam and then Budapest, and then it takes you to Belgium on like a Wednesday night before like you have to report into Dreamville on Thursday. So we'll do one night in Brussels again, where they'll have like fun activities. Like we'll get to do like the whole Thursday thing that if you watched the day that we arrived to Dreamville blog, I think I called Tomorrowland Day 1. Again, it's like down below. We'll get to do like that. Probably a whole scavenger hunt again, that little party, and then go to Dreamville. So we're really excited because we have not been to Amsterdam or Budapest yet. These ones do, I will say, look a little bit different because it looks like that Tomorrowland has no scheduled activities for us. They do a good job on your account of telling you like a breakdown day by day of the itinerary and like what you'll be doing. And it looks like that this one is totally free, which we're a little bit excited about because we do like to plan, like when we see cities, we like to do stuff on our own and like find our own things to do and find our own journey and do the historical stuff, which they did a great job of coordinating that in Belgium. But it looks like in Amsterdam and Budapest, you just have to report in for flights in and flights out. So anyway, won't bore you with that right now, but we will make a video about that. But that's kind of our deal this summer. So be willing to do a Discover XYZ trip because that will help your chances of getting in. Other than that, it's just luck. I've also heard that if you are in Europe, or maybe if you buy a VPN, we didn't do this, but if you buy a VPN to ping out of Europe, you have a better chance. And I do believe that is true. You do have a better chance. Now, let's talk about Tomorrowland Winter bookings. So Tomorrowland Winter is a lot easier to get into. Obviously, it is not as big of a thing to go to. We were really excited because we know how to ski and we love the Alps. So we were very excited. So in terms of booking Tomorrowland winter, again, do the simulations shop. If you do want a certain accommodation, I would recommend like being on it, and you'll pretty much get it no matter where you are in the world from what I've heard. Because what we did was for Tomorrowland winter, we did try and we simulated the shop and then picked out kind of what we wanted. Then we, for fun, we actually weren't like 100% committed to going, but for fun, we like tried to see if we could get it, to see the ease of getting it. So on the day, we were prepared again, laptops open, ready for war, and we got it. We were able to get it super easy. Other people were too, you know, if you were on it. However, we didn't proceed with booking it because we just weren't really sure like when we were, we just weren't really sure if like that's what we wanted to like put finances towards this year. We know we wanted to go eventually, but we didn't know. So we were like, okay, forget it. What's really cool about Tomorrowland winter, I don't know if summer has this, is they do have a waiting list option. So Andrew was bored this fall and was like, screw it, I'm gonna join the wait list. Our accommodation and situation that we want for Tomorrowland winter is sold out, but I'm going to join the wait list and see what happens. And then we got in off the wait list, and so we were like, okay, let's just book it. So our Tomorrowland winter vlogs, again, which were recently posted, you can see that there's different packages that you can get, but we got the 7-day package, so the full festival package. I believe they only have 4-day, 7-day, and then you could buy like an individual day ticket, but don't quote me. We got a 7-day package with hotel included at the Club Med Alpe d'Huez Hotel, which is the nicest one you can get. Again, we're not like those crazy people like, oh, we have to be in the nicest this, the nicest that. That's just the way we wanted to do it, because if we can only go once, we wanted to do it right. So that's the one we did, and it was great. So that's kind of how ticketing works. Again, not a great explanation, but I hope that helps a little bit. So talking about accommodations, again, just some kind of tips and tricks. Number one, think about for Tomorrowland summer, we'll talk there first, if you want to stay on the grounds or not, if that's important to you. To me, ever since I've been tracking this festival, since I was 15 years old, I've been watching this, and to me, I knew that I had to stay on the festival grounds or it was not happening. I thought I'd be going once in my life, and again, the world is great and life is good and I get to go a second time, and I was like, I will camp if I have to, because I didn't know, like, I didn't do the research, you know, as a kid. I didn't know what kinds of accommodations there were. I was like, I will get a tent there and I will sleep outside if I have to. I just have to make it. For me, staying in Dreamville was a non-negotiable. Now, there are options where you can stay at hotels. I actually had a friend that did that last year. She stayed at a hotel and she said she had no problem. Belgium, even with Tomorrowland, doesn't really get traffic, I think, because the majority of people are staying on the grounds. And everybody that I heard that took buses in that they provided and stuff like that did not experience any crazy line delays or any issues getting to the festival. So that's really good news. They come in at a different entrance than Dreamville, and I think because of how staggered that is, it actually made their entrance process into the festival easier than even Dreamville, because Dreamville sometimes could get backed up. But just think about it since it's important to you. Do I think you have a different experience staying in a hotel? Yes. For me, I would have felt like I had a lot of FOMO. Now, because it's in the town of Boom, what I didn't realize is, number one, this park is huge, but I didn't realize how close Dreamville was, like, to Boom. Like, there is a biking running path that cuts right through and is public. That's why they have the scanners to get to Dreamville so randoms don't come in. But they have a path that, like, you'll see average people crossing on. The houses, you can see out and see them. It's like Disneyland, if you're like, everything comes back to theme parks. It's like Disneyland where, like, you can see out, like, into Anaheim, but Disney World, you can't really see, like, out anywhere, even high up into, like, anything, because it's like a bubble. But, like, Boom is like Disneyland, like being in Tomorrowland. Like, you can see the outside. It's right there. Like, if you need to go to Boom because you really need, like, some medication and they don't sell it in Tomorrowland, like, you can just walk out and you can get whatever you need at the local shops, even go to local bars, which is something we want to do this year. We want to, like, go, like, Boom is not very exciting, but we want to, like, go to, like, a bar or something, like, cool. You could do that. So that was crazy. What I think about Dreamville, the experience is what you want it to be. And we slept fine in Montago. We had no problems with getting rest. And apparently in the campsites, they do have like people that walk around. And it's not like a strict curfew, but like you can't blast music and stuff. I recommend bringing headphones if you are camping. My friend who's camped for 7 years said he hasn't really had any crazy problems. He's been able to get some sleep. Really for him, it just came down to the weather. Like if it was too hot, he struggled. If it was raining, he struggled, of course. So be prepared for all weather conditions, all sound conditions. But I would 100%, if you just want to go to Tomorrowland, you don't care where you stay, but you know you want to stay in Dreamville, you're cool to camp, do it, because the experience, there is no like I said, there's no crazy after parties or anything, but like they do some kind of like fun stuff, like the gospel choir, which if you watch the end of our night 2 video, which was so random, and that was a trek, you know, from Montago to get over to like the campsite area, but so cool. You could wake up and you could go sit at the picnic tables and get food and meet people. Like you saw in my vlogs, it's a whole community. There's a grocery store, you get your hair and makeup done, there's a gym, there's gym classes, there's yoga, there's tennis courts, volleyball courts. So would I recommend staying in Dreamville? Yes. Would I ever do Tomorrowland and not stay in Dreamville? Probably not, unless we decide to move to Europe. And you know, of course we've been twice and we decided to move to Europe and we're older and we're like, let's just buy like a 3-day ticket and drive ourselves in and drive ourselves out, and let's just buy a 1-day ticket. So that's my take on that. Now for Tomorrowland winter. I can't again speak too much. I think that if you don't live in France and don't know Alpe d'Huez too well, I would highly recommend going through a package deal and buying a hotel, because it makes the ease of things just a lot smoother. And we'll talk a little bit more about like our accommodation in Tomorrowland winter a little bit later. But I do recommend doing that if you don't really know what you're doing. A lot of people rented Airbnbs, which is great, but you have to be careful and you have to look at the map, because there's these 2 remote areas of Alpe d'Huez. One is called Oz and the other one is called Aris, and you have to take 1 or more lifts to come to the main hub of Alpe d'Huez, the town, Tomorrowland, etc. And we had really bad weather. That's the biggest thing in Tomorrowland winter. Those people could not physically get over to the festival, and they did have some shuttle service running, but unfortunately what happened, and I don't want to talk about it because it's very sad, and those people ended up waiting outside until like 4 in the morning to get transportation back. There are Ubers, but they are scarce, and they hike the prices like insanity, like EDC Vegas level. So yeah, I just would avoid staying in Oz or Aris at all times. And if you are and it's cold, bring shelter or a tent to sit outside till potentially 4 in the morning. I heard some horror stories. I saw some horror stories. It's also sad if you have to miss some nights of the festival because of the weather. So that would be like my biggest PSA to accommodations at Tomorrowland winter. Let's talk weather and outfits now. This kind of goes hand in hand. I've touched on it a little bit. Tomorrowland summer is expecting it to be like a lot of girls like what I wore. That's why I picked like super fancy festival outfits. Again, there'll be people in literally anything. So my number 1 advice is wear whatever you want. Go hard, don't go hard. Wear a Lululemon matching set, which I wish I wore. You can wear whatever you want. It's Europe, it's chill. Nobody's judging each other. Everybody's just there to have a good time. Just again, be prepared for all weather conditions. So if you are planning like the fancy festival outfits like I did, just be prepared for all weather conditions. Our last night it was like a heavy sprinkle, but you know, I didn't care, whatever, like who cares? But if you're someone who cares about that, be prepared. Comfortable shoes really come into account for summer, especially. I'd recommend putting Dr. Scholl's inserts into whatever shoes you bring. Just make sure they're comfortable and wear whatever you want. That's my advice. For Tomorrowland winter, same thing. I would say it was a lot more laid back though. Like I ended up changing a lot of my outfits. Like Andrew was like, oh, I'm gonna wear jeans to like the nighttime portion of the festival, and he never did. He wore sweatpants every single night because it's cold. It's cold. It was blizzarding a lot of the nights. So yeah, so wear whatever makes you feel comfortable. What I wore a lot of nights, what I recommend for Tomorrowland winter, even though it did get hot sometimes inside, but it was worth it, was I wore like long sleeve, tight, like, I don't know what the word is, like the onesies, like with the zipper that like goes low and is like really cute. I ordered a bunch of those in Shein in like 3 different colors, and I wore those a ton of nights because It was cold, it was casual, everyone else was casual. I'm like, I'm not wearing like my beaded outfits that I wore to Tomorrowland Summer. That just doesn't make sense. So yeah, it's all comfy, wear what you want. Again, comfortable shoes. Snow boots for Tomorrowland winter are a super big thing because you have to walk back to your accommodation and it can be icy and slippery, so just please be careful. So that was a big thing. Also, layers, lockers. So Tomorrowland, I can't speak to Tomorrowland Summer, they probably have lockers, but Tomorrowland Winter, they had the option to book lockers in advance as an add-on extra, and I would highly recommend doing it. The mistake we made is they have two types of lockers you can get, or a couple actually, at Tomorrowland Winter. They have some lockers during the day. I can't remember the day stages. We didn't do that. Maybe do that if you don't want to carry your ski gear. Honestly, like we ended up like partying with our helmet in our hand, like our ski helmet, so we didn't really care, but you can get one if you want. We opted for 7 days of lockers at night only, and we paid for 2 lockers. We paid for what was called like the main stage locker and then the cage stage locker. Now the main stage locker, if you watched my Tomorrowland Winter videos, they're like outside before you scan. They're close, but like it's before you scan into the nighttime Tomorrowland Winter portion. They're just like out there. We did not use ours once, so a waste of money, but again, for 7 days, it was like 40 euros or 30 euros. Like it is what it is. We took the L. The locker that we used every night, which are the hidden gem, are the cage stage lockers, and those are inside in the cage stage in like a little back section. You don't have to trek through the crowd to get there, and those lockers came in clutch, because even if I was like wearing like a short skirt, cute outfit one night, I wore my ski pants and my ski jacket over it, hats, gloves, whatever we wanted, we took it off, we shoved it in the locker, or we could go get it out whenever we wanted if we were going to the core stage, which is outside, and then we just sprinted over cold to in t-shirts to the main stage or to Moose Bar, to wherever we wanted to go. It was cold for 5 seconds as opposed to like for our 10 to 15 minute trek back up the hill to the hotel at night. But I would highly recommend getting the cage lockers. Now that I'm revealing the secret, it will probably get out to everyone and they'll book out, but definitely get those if you're going to get any locker. Again, those are booked in advance. Do not wait, because they will not be available when you get to the festival and they will sell out. But I highly recommend for winter especially getting a locker for your layers and stuff like that. Next, let's talk about booking hair, makeup, and tattoos and stuff in Dreamville at Tomorrowland Summer. So Tomorrowland Winter does not have any of this stuff, so sorry. Tomorrowland Summer does have the option to do hair, makeup, and tattoos. So there are options. So generic Dreamville, which is like, I put this on the vlogs if you watch them all, but there's like the grocery store and all the like food booths in Dreamville. They have their own hair and makeup area, and then it's right next to the tattoo parlor. And then Montago has its own hair and makeup area. And then there's another tattoo parlor, I'm talking permanent tattoos by the way, in the festival, like in the Tomorrowland Festival. It's by like the Elixir stage and the One World Radio. So let's talk about tattoos first, because that's the easiest. Tattoos, book as early in advance. They have the tattoos. You can't just walk in and get anything. They have like a book that you can select from. One thing I will say is they can't modify. So I ended up booking a tattoo that I ended up not getting. I'll explain why. One of the reasons is that they cannot modify the size. I like very small tattoos, so I'm gonna find someone that can get me my little tiny Tomorrowland butterfly tattoo like logo elsewhere, because the size is just, it's not big, but for me it's just a little bit big, and they were like, we can't modify the size, which is dumb. I wasn't asking for a design modification personally. I think that's dumb. A size modification, they're like, we can't do that. But they are cheap. I think mine was like 100 or so, 150 euros, and they did refund me when I said, hey, I'm opting out. They refunded me, which was nice. The other thing that I would recommend is like, again, like sprinting. If you want to get it done in Dreamville, going there Thursday. If you want to get it done in the festival Friday, go there ASAP and book it, because they will book up. And book the earliest appointment they have. That's my number one advice. So I booked like, I think it was supposed to be like a 12 o'clock noon appointment on Sunday. I waited till the last day because I was like, oh, I don't want to get it dirty. Like, you know, I have to keep tattoos wrapped, whatever. And I ended up canceling because they were 2 hours behind, like with the tattoos processes with other people. And I was like, I'm going to miss the entire festival. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this. And then they were like, it's okay, we'll refund you. So sprint there and get the earliest appointment they have, or you're going to sacrifice missing the festival. Just think about what's important to you. Now, hair and makeup. I'm speaking for Montago. I don't know how hair and makeup works in Dreamville. I've heard mixed reviews, so I apologize about that. So for Montago, you can get hair and makeup done. Back then, I hope it's the same this year, it was 10 euros for each, I think, or maybe it was 10 pearls to euro conversion. I don't really know how it works, but it was 10 and 10. You can book in Montago, at least, you can book an appointment only one day before. So it was open on Thursday when I got there. So I walked in and I booked an appointment for Friday. Friday, I walked in and booked an appointment for Saturday. Saturday, I walked in and booked for Sunday. I would recommend getting up early, which I learned my lessons on Thursday. They had no availability for hair for Friday, and then Friday they had no hair availability for Saturday. So what I recommend doing is go as soon as they open, walk in, even if your appointment's not till like noon, so you can also get your desired time, walk to the Montago hair and makeup place. I think they open at 9 a.m. Say, hey, I want, I know today is Friday, it's 9 a.m. on Friday. For Saturday, I want both hair, and I want both hair and makeup, and I want them for these times. So if that makes any sense to you. So yeah, it is first come, first serve. So they may be sold out of one thing and not the other thing. You may not get the desired time you want. So that's my plan of action this year, is I'm going to just get up early, walk over right away, and so I can get both things because it was super cheap. So I want to do hair and makeup both Friday, Saturday, Sunday next year, hopefully. In terms of like what they can do, they have a book of what they can do. You can also show them a picture. They're pretty good. And what I personally did was I just had them like do my eye makeup. So I showed up with like my own like foundation and bronzer and yada, yada, yada done. I also have face gems they can add. And for hair, they have stuff that they can add to your hair, like that might cost extra. Like if you want like colors in your hair, like those color extensions in the braids, it might be extra. But for Dreamville, I'm sorry, I don't have enough information. First, I heard that it might be first come, first serve every day in Dreamville, like generic Dreamville, where you might have to wait in a line. But yeah, that's as far as I know. Next thing I want to talk about is what you can and cannot bring. So in terms of staying on property in Dreamville, they check your bags pretty extensively when entering Dreamville, so be prepared for that line. Like they will have you open your checked bag, they will search it, and they will confiscate stuff. So that, I would say what you can and cannot bring. I don't like know the exact list. Like obviously I know like no drugs, no alcohol, whatever. I would look online and look at the list for a clear view, but if they say don't bring it, just don't bring it. Just don't fight with them. Just make your life easier so you don't have to throw stuff away. They will question stuff, like they like pulled out my perfume and like looked closely at like specific stuff to see what it was. So just keep that in mind. Tomorrowland Winter, there is not a bag checking process because you're staying in the town of Alpe d'Huez, but you know what they say you can't bring into the festival area, just don't bring into the festival area. For Tomorrowland Summer, of course, look up because like what you could bring, you might be able to bring stuff into Dreamville that you can't bring into the actual festival area. So just kind of make sure you're up to date with all the rules. The number one thing that I learned my lesson on the first day is we were like, okay, we're gonna buy like the case of water at the Tomorrowland on-site grocery store because it'll be cheaper and we need it in our room, and we're gonna fill up our water pack and we're going to bring it into the festival. And then they made us dump out all the water on the first day. So yeah, because we like to wear our own water bladder, so we just have water at all times and don't have to go like hunting it down because of the heat. So make sure that you don't walk in with a full water bladder because they'll make you throw it out. So that's just something to keep in mind, like one thing that I've learned. Keep up to date with their rules. So we talked about the after parties at Tomorrowland Summer, so let's talk about the after parties at Tomorrowland Winter. Again, if you're staying in Oz and Auris, you can go to the after parties as well. And it might be a good way to like hang out and wait, since like it might be impossible to get a shuttle or an Uber back, like I said, till 4 in the morning. You might as well just go to the club or go to some bars. So there is like Alpe d'Huez like runs on Tomorrowland Winter. Like I think they keep the stickers up year round, like on the local businesses that are like, oh, home of Tomorrowland Winter. So there's a couple clubs. The Igloo Club is one, and the Cave del Alps. Like those are like the two main ones, and I talk about them in the YouTube videos that have like DJs from the festival. So like we saw Dombresky that I talked about in the video. We paid paid for that. They'll have the signs. Tomorrowland, these aren't sponsored by Tomorrowland, but when you arrive to Alpe d'Huez, the way that we found out is we arrived and we saw like the signs around town, like, oh, official after parties, like blah, blah, blah. I'd recommend buying your tickets in advance. I don't know how much they charge at the door. We bought ours in advance and they were like 25 euros a person, and they're super fun. They go really late. They go till like 6 in the morning. They're fun. And so that was like a really cool part about like Tomorrowland winter is like, and then other nights we just like went around to like some local bars and like partied at the local bars with just like local DJs late at night. So that's what's really fun about Tomorrowland winter is like you are staying in like a town versus like a organized community like Dreamville, so you can like go out and like find stuff to do. And of course there's people there that are not just there for Tomorrowland winter, like they're there in general, but I don't know why they would make that mistake, but everyone there is for Tomorrowland winter. The town is hyped, the workers are hyped, so it's a really good time. So that's like one thing that like we loved. So that's about the after parties at Tomorrowland winter. I've already talked about the weather being a red flag, but let's talk about the weather and skiing as well. So you can go to Tomorrowland winter not knowing how to ski. What's really cool if you do buy the package deals through Tomorrowland is that they offer free ski lessons, and the rentals I think are fairly cheap over there. I highly recommend taking advantage of that or learning how to ski a little bit before, because here's why. The mountain stages are extremely spread out. Reflection of Love is far. You can't really ski to it from the other two stages, but you can ski between the Orbis stage and the Reflection of and the Frozen Lotus stage, and it makes it much quicker to get from Frozen Lotus to Orbis if you know how to ski. If you don't know how to ski, you have to go down the lift and up a different lift, and that can take a long time. Some of the lift lines will get extremely long if you don't know how to ski, because we could take some like cheat lifts to get around like the main lifts to get to other stages and ski. So yeah, but luckily Alpe d'Huez is the easiest mountain in the Alps that I've skied on, so it's very accessible. So if you can figure out how to ski or learn how to ski, you will be just fine. But take advantage of those ski lessons, learn how to ski so you can make the most out of your experience, not miss mountain sets. Also, due to weather, sometimes they will make an announcement that the stages are closing due to weather and everybody has to leave. The DJ might keep playing, like during A-Lock this happened. If you did not know how to ski or snowboard, you had to leave the set, which sucks, because if you know how to ski, you can go down on skis at the end of the set. So yeah, point is, know how to ski or be prepared to learn how to ski. It is cheap in Europe though to rent skis if you don't want to travel with our skis. We have the travel credit cards and points and free bags and yada yada yada, so we travel with our equipment also because we're very advanced skiers and we feel comfortable skiing things like the Tunnel Run and La Sirène on our own ski gear versus rental gear. Next, let's talk about how booking, dining, and extras work. So Tomorrowland Summer and Tomorrowland Winter both have dining and extras. So starting with the booking process, it's the same. Again, it starts with being keen to your email. For this one, I don't think it matters. I don't think you have to VPN out of anywhere. Just again, be prepared, check your email, be prepared to be on there, because the extras and the dining goes so fast. But it's the same process for both. You'll get an email, you'll know when it is. They do really well at communicating that. So just make sure you're prepared. Again, think ahead of time, do research, and know what you want to book. I'm not gonna bore you here and go over what all those options and extras are, because there's plenty of places you can find that. That was the easiest information to find online. But just know that like you are paying for everything in advance. You don't pay when you get there, you're paying in advance. They'll scan your band like when you get there to check in, and they'll scan the QR code on your reservation, but that's that. So for Tomorrowland Summer, we tried to get into the restaurants, specifically the main stage restaurant, which is like I think the most expensive and most exclusive. That's like the back of Tomorrowland. You'll see at the top of the hill, there's like a platform building indoors raised up high. I think it's called like the main stage or Tomorrowland restaurant. Could not get in there. We tried. We even did walk-up. Restaurants do take walk-ups, by the way, for both summer and winter, so just note that. You can check. We're gonna try again this year when it opens up, but that was upsetting, but it's okay. And we did get into, I can't even think of the name of the restaurant now, but it was all the way in the back, kind of by like the Freedom by Bud stage and the Avicii experience for our first day, day one, but unfortunately our reservation was auto-canceled because it was before the festival opened, because we were there the year the stage burned down. And then I think there's one more sit down back there. Again, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name, but there's plenty of research online. You can find it. I think we haven't discussed yet which ones we want to do, Andrew and I, but I think we're really just focused on the main one in the main stage. Tomorrowland Winter, we were able to get into every single restaurant that we wanted to, and we were actually late to the sale. Would I recommend being late to the sale? No. We were by about an hour and we were able to get into everything, but a big reason is because Tomorrowland Winter's more days. We were there for all 7 days, so we were able to get into everything. My biggest advice for Tomorrowland Winter, though, the one thing you do want to take into account, and this comes down to taking into account for if you're the person that wants to book a VIP table. So different than like having like a VIP ticket versus booking like a table experience. And then also the restaurants is that a lot of the restaurants that you book for Tomorrowland Winter during the day, so I'm talking Frozen Lotus lunch, Orbis lunch, and Reflection of Love lunch, these are outside with no covering and no option for covering. Reflection of Love stage is the only one that has like a very small indoor section, large outdoor balcony seating. Frozen Lotus is fully outside, and Orbis stage is fully outside. I don't know what they did on the days that it was blizzarding and nobody wanted to sit outside or physically couldn't sit outside, because there were some days where if you saw, they even had to cut sets short because it was badly blizzarding. We got so lucky somehow, somebody was looking out for us, and our Frozen Lotus lunch, our Orbis lunch were on days when it was not blizzarding, which was like 2 days. So please keep that in mind when you're booking. What I'm assuming is that they will give you a refund if your lunch is canceled. Now, Tomorrowland is a little money grubbing, so if you just don't want to go, if they're like, hey, it's blizzarding, we're still opening, and you're like, hey, I don't want to sit in the blizzard, will they refund you? I don't know. I hope so. Just keep that in mind. In terms of the Reflection of Love stage, that was one that we actually walked into on the last day, which was Friday. So if you don't get into any of these, do keep in mind they do take walk-ins. But do I recommend booking in advance if you can? Yes. If you can't get in, do you want to walk up? Sure. Now, the only other dining offering that they offer at night at Tomorrowland Winter, there's only one at night, and that's Braza. I made a whole TikTok, I'm not going to put it on here again, about our Braza experience, and we just didn't have the best experience. But that is one that I do know that like was fully sold out, like no walk-ins. Like you're probably not gonna be able to walk into Braza. Of course you can try, but probably not gonna be able to. Our TikTok account is always linked down below and on our YouTube channel, so you can find it if you want to see our review on that. Next, for Tomorrowland Winter, be prepared for meal delays. Again, just watch my Braza thing. Really, we waited in line for all of them, all of our meals to check in, but a lot of them moved out. Again, just be prepared for that. I can't speak to Tomorrowland Summer because, and I'm talking meal delays in terms of sit-down restaurants. So that's a little bit about dining. Same thing again goes for VIP tables at Tomorrowland Winter. We almost booked a VIP table at the main stage and at the Orbis stage for Tomorrowland Winter because they're really, really cheap. Some of them were like 200 euros, and we were kind of like, why not? That would be fun one day. But we were considering like, hey, how long will we want to be out there if it's blizzarding? Because again, you have that table all day. So if the Orbis stage opens at noon and if it closes at 5 p.m., you have 5 hours, and we're like, we got to be there all 5 hours so we can get our money's worth. The views weren't that great, so we were like, unsure. And then again, the weather was a big factor. If it's blizzarding, do we want to stand out there? Will they cancel it on us? So we opted to not. But yeah, so that's the biggest thing. Other extras that you could do, Tomorrowland Summer, I decided in advance to book the Secret Forest yoga, which that one they didn't even check my QR code for. So could you just walk in? Maybe. I don't know. I can't think of what the other extras are for Tomorrowland Summer at this time, but I don't think there's really many, but that was one thing that I booked. But it was good though, I'd recommend. It was like 20 euros. And then for Tomorrowland Winter, there is a ton of extras. There's a mountain coaster, there's bobsledding, there's the night skiing of La Serene that we did. That was really cool. There's so much you can do. So that's where like we really spent a lot, was like on the extras, because they have really cool extras, and I would highly recommend doing a lot of those if you can. So that's our take on that. When you book both Tomorrowland Winter and Tomorrowland Summer, there's gonna be an option to do VIP. So let me talk a little bit about both. If you watched my Tomorrowland Summer vlogs, you saw that we did opt in for the VIP tickets. Again, not because we're like, oh, we need VIP, but we've done research on both and we decided why we did it. And Tomorrowland Winter, we didn't. So Tomorrowland Summer, do you need VIP? Absolutely not. But do I recommend it? Do I think it's worth the money? Yes. So here's what you get. So certain stages have VIP viewing platforms. Those stages are the main stage, which we did actually spend a heck ton of time, and I recommend, on the hills of the main stage and the floor of the main stage, because it's not like America. People aren't like shoulder to shoulder. You can go down to the main stage on the floor and get guardrail if you want. Like, it's not hard. Like, people are chill. So that has viewing, and those platforms though are amazing when you do enjoy them. And then where the viewing platform is, they sell drinks and they sell a limited amount of food items. They are a little bit like discounted pearls wise compared to the outside. So that's pretty cool. And you could get like bottles, like bottle of Solo Vita we did for fun one day. And then they also walk around a couple times a day with like free like appetizers, and those appetizers were enough for a meal for us because they were so good. Like stuff like tuna tartare and sliders, and like everything was amazing. And then the bathrooms were really nice. I will say though, at Tomorrowland Summer, the bathrooms were amazing everywhere. Of course, there's times that I use general bathrooms, probably most of the time, and they were great. Then there's a viewing section at the Great Library, or whatever they call it that year, stage. I personally, you don't have a great view from that viewing area because in front of you, there's a viewing area that I call like VVVIP. So it might be like friends of the DJ, influencers, whatever. And they have a great view, but they're like in front of you in this section, and then you are back there, and while your area is fully roofed, which is nice in case it rains, you just don't have the best view. But what's cool about the Great Library stage is there is pools. You can't see the DJ from them, but there is pools. Would I ever go in them? Probably not, just because I don't really want to get wet at a music fest. I don't like that. Like, I just don't feel the need to like go swimming, but people were having fun. And then there's also food there as well, drinks. Where it really came in handy to have the VIP at Tomorrowland Summer, and where I feel is the most American-like experience, is the Freedom Stage, which is all the way in the back. The Freedom Stage, it just maybe again once you like push through, because that was a big thing we found a lot too, like at the Great Library stage, it is like shoulder to shoulder in like the back and top of the hill, and you're like, oh my god, what's the front gonna be like? And then you go down to the floor and it's like nobody's there, which is wild. So maybe it's that way at the Freedom Stage, but it just looked like way too busy for us to even like fathom going there. So if you watch our videos and you see us at the Freedom Stage, you'll see us like on like an elevated platform. It's all the way in the back. You have a cool view of like the whole thing, and it's high up so you can see. So that stage, we used it especially. We did not even try and go down there just because, again, I'm at the age now where I just don't care to be like in a crowd like this, and I want to dance and enjoy the music. And they do not have, or no, I think there was one bar. There wasn't food because there's food right outside of there, but there is one bar up there, I believe. So would I recommend VIP for Tomorrowland Summer? Yes. Is it necessarily? Absolutely not. Because the food and drink lines and bathroom lines are not crazy whatsoever anywhere. We actually ended up, the food at Tomorrowland, if you know, is so good all the time. And so we ended up like, we also got a ton of the food on the outside as well. And so is it like, do you need it? No, not necessary, but it's great. So I'd recommend it. And again, that does not come with Montago. It is an extra add-on, and it does sell out, so just keep that in mind. So Tomorrowland Winter, it was sold out when we did the extra, because remember, we were on the waiting list, then we decided to go for it once we got off the waiting list, and it was sold out. But we weren't bummed. We were like, we don't need it again. Do I think VIP for Tomorrowland Winter is worth it? No. So in the main stage area, the viewing platform is in the back, similar setup to like the Freedom Stage. It's in the back, elevated, and there is a lot of things that are blocking you from seeing. I saw it and I was like, I just don't think it's worth it. And they were on the sides too, elevated like up, and I was like, I just don't feel like I would use this. And so yeah, I just didn't think it was necessary. In the, what else at night? So there's the cage stage at night, and that didn't have a VIP area. You would think actually, so like you'll see if you're going to Tomorrowland Winter, the cage stage, you would think that there's a platform, like people behind the DJ and up on a platform. That's just first come, first serve. Like you just walk up there and you party and you do what you want, which is awesome. And then the other stage is core. And honestly, I'm apologize. I don't know. So there's two elevated platforms on the side of core, the side of the core stage. We just went up on, if you're looking at the core stage in our videos, we were up on the right-hand platform a lot, and that was just general. There was a platform on the left, I think, and I think that might have been VIP. So I just don't think it was worth it. Like there was no like bars at any of the VIP, nothing like that. Oh, We didn't talk about the daytime stages. So that's the nighttime stages. So there is the daytime stages on the mountain at Tomorrowland Winter. The VIP area, let's talk about the Orbis stage. I just didn't think it was that great. Like, it was in the back. It seemed like no one was really like raging too hard. I don't know. I was just like, didn't feel the need again. Then the Frozen Lotus stage, the VIP was in a cool view, like a side platform. But again, there's like no bar, no food up there. Like, you could just order like bottle service, but like nothing that I thought was really like worth it. The other mountain stage was the Reflection of Love. And as far as I saw, there was not a VIP section there. You would think that there is, or no, there is. I take that back. So there's the restaurant platform, and then I believe there's a platform below it that's VIP. So you'll see like the restaurant, the Reflection of Love lunch restaurant, like you could go and sit up there on the balcony, and then I think there was a balcony below it that was VIP. But again, I just don't think it's necessary for Tomorrowland Winter. It's a lot less people, more spread out. Just my opinion, not worth it, but you do you. Now let's get into what you've been waiting for, kind of like the pros and cons and a couple last minute tips of both. Again, thank you for hanging in there, but like I said, I would find this video super useful because it's so hard to find information on Tomorrowland anywhere. And if you've watched our videos, you find that they can be long and we can be overshares, but that's how I am. I just want to get the information out there compared to other people and be frank. So let's start with Tomorrowland Winter. The biggest red flag for us was the incoordination of days and tickets. I talked about this in the video, so what do I mean by this? We bought a 7-day package to Tomorrowland Winter, okay? The first day of Tomorrowland Winter began on a Saturday. I'm pulling up my calendar here so we can talk dates so this makes sense. So let's go to your year 2026, okay? Tomorrowland Winter began on March 21st, 2026, okay? That was the first night that the mountain stages were open and the night festival area was open. That's when the festival officially began. The last day of Tomorrowland Winter was Friday, March 27th, 2026, okay? So you've got like 7 days of partying there. So our 7-day package for Alpe d'Huez started on Sunday, March 22nd, and our checkout date was Sunday, March 29th, okay? And then keep in mind, the last night of the partying was Friday, March 27th. So you would think that logically, we would check into the hotel the morning of Saturday, March 21st, first day of the stages, etc., first night of partying, and check out on Saturday, March 28th, when you wake up from the night of partying on the March 27th. No. So it was like, okay, so where are we gonna stay on Saturday, March 21st after we're done partying in Alpe d'Huez? What are we gonna do on Saturday, March 28th, right? Maybe we'll ski because we assumed that our band had a ski ticket. So yes, so what did we do on the 21st on our 7-day package? We were forced to get an Airbnb, which costed us an extra 550 euros because prices were already inflated for Tomorrowland Winter. And I'll link our Airbnb down below. They were great, no complaints, blah, blah, blah. But we shouldn't have to do that. Like, why is that uncoordinated? Why? I still don't have the answer. Did I write a long letter to Tomorrowland Winter complaining about it after when they asked for feedback? Yes, I did. I'm not complaining, but I was like more so like, make this make sense. And obviously their response was like, thank you for the feedback, whatever. It was a real person saying thank you for the feedback, so I hope they take that into account. But anyway, I digress. Okay. So the other weird thing is that, so when you buy a package through them, which is really cool, is that it includes your ski tickets. So we had 7 days, we were told a 7-day package, so we were like, okay, we'll have 7 days of ski tickets, great. We assumed those 7 days would be Saturday the 21st, Sunday the 22nd, Monday the 23rd, Tuesday the 24th, Wednesday the 25th, Thursday the 26th, and Friday the 27th. When we got there on Saturday the 21st, of course we wanted to go to the mountain stages and start tackling some of the slopes, because our plan was to start skiing because we're big skiers as well and we wanted to actually ski the whole mountain. So we're like, we're gonna ski, the mountain stage acts get really good, you know, later on in the week. So let's ski as hard as we can the first couple days, and then we'll wean off the skiing and just use our skis to ski between stages. So as soon as we got to Alpe d'Huez on Saturday morning, we laced up our skis, we went out, tried to scan our bands. They didn't work. We were like, okay, the 7th day, which we thought was gonna be Friday the 27th, will actually be Saturday the 28th. Fine. Luckily, Europe is reasonable and they had half-day ticket options and also an after 2 p.m. ticket option. So we booked that. It ended up being like 30 euros or so a person. Great, whatever, we were able to ski. So the rest of the festival went on. And we know Friday the 27th ends, we're done partying. Okay, we're gonna spend, because we love to ski, we're gonna spend Saturday the 28th using our 7th ski ticket because it was a 7-day package. Then Sunday the 29th, we'll leave Alpe d'Huez. Saturday the 28th rolls around and we go and we scan our band, and what happens? We have no ski ticket. Went onto Facebook, I was fuming because I was like, we paid for a 7-day package. Where the hell is our 7 days of ski tickets? So we only had 6 days of ski tickets. Make that make sense. Was it an error for us? I don't know, because some people on Facebook were like, oh, if you stay at Club Med, which we were staying at Club Med, we're supposed to have a ski ticket. I don't freaking know. I never got an answer for Tomorrowland on this, but I'm pretty pissed because that day we forked out a half-day ticket, a 12 to 5, which was like, cost us an extra 120 euros total. I was pretty pissed. I'm still pissed when I think about it. So make that make sense. So that's the biggest red flag with Tomorrowland Winter, is the incoordination with days and tickets. One other thing I want to talk about Tomorrowland, we talked about the incoordination of Tomorrowland Winter. Tomorrowland Summer, we had a couple issues with. So same goes for Tomorrowland Winter, but like the employees for Tomorrowland Winter and Tomorrowland Summer that you see on the grounds are all like contracted. So they know nothing about the festival. What I assume is they're given like a manual of specific information, but they just like aren't very helpful. Like if you have questions about things, like what times things are, where do I find this transportation? So it's really relying on like your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook groups, which there was like a WhatsApp for Discover Belgium, which was helpful, like to talk and ask people questions, because it is a little like, I will say overall Tomorrowland's coordination and communication is not the best, but it's great like when you're trying to like, when you know what time the add-on sale is and when you want to know what time the ticket sale is, like to go to Tomorrowland, it's great. And it was great, like the itinerary, like if you're going on a Discover blah 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 trip, like ours is already uploaded, but it's not great like once you're there. And so the biggest thing like with Tomorrowland Summer, the biggest issue that we had was transportation. So the Thursday again that you have to report to Dreamville, there's like, at least for us, there was like this party in Belgium Center that's on my vlogs, and then apparently we were supposed to have some QR code with a time and a location to get on a bus with our luggage and go be transported to Dreamville. And then same thing, apparently leaving Dreamville, we were supposed to have a QR code with a time to leave Dreamville and bus information. We didn't have that. We searched our accounts high and low. People were like, oh, it's on your Tomorrowland account. We didn't get an email. It wasn't on our Tomorrowland account. We spent hours searching, and we tried to ask people like in Montago even, like, hey, like where do we find this QR code to leave tomorrow on Monday? And they're like, So we ended up going with the flow Monday, and we ended up walking into Boom and following a bunch of Tomorrowland people, getting on some bus that took us to some like abandoned train station that one train runs from, with a bunch of taxis, and we ended up paying $150 for a taxi or an Uber to get back to Brussels. And then apparently when we got to Tomorrowland, I think I talked about this on the vlog, we couldn't find the bus information. We also wanted to get to Dreamville early. We heard from someone that's been before like, hey, you might want to get to Dreamville early to unpack, skip the rush. There is a line to get your bag checked, and then you can set up like your place how you want it for the weekend and still have time to go, because remember they have the Dreamville welcome party, the gathering it's called, at night at the stage, and you want to make sure you're there in time before that. But apparently, and then so we opted to take an Uber to get there, which again was like another 100 euros, 150 euros or so. And it dropped us off at the Dreamville entrance for like the camping, and we had to walk, like I vlogged it, like 1.5 miles with all of our bags from 4 weeks, and it was rough. And apparently the people who did take the bus from the Belgium city center party in Brussels to Dreamville ended up getting dropped off closer to Montago. So that's cool. This year though, I do think we are going to budget for those Ubers. We're gonna budget about 300 euros because we did appreciate getting there earlier to set up the place, to enjoy more time in Montago and to chill out before the Dreamville party. And then again, Monday, just the way that the whole thing was situated was really odd getting out. So we think that we're gonna maybe like go to a bar or a cafe and Boom with our bags, sit for like an hour, get lunch, and then call an Uber to get back to Brussels. So I think that's our plan. You could do what you want. You could figure out the bus ticket situation, we couldn't find ours. I think this year we're just gonna budget for the Ubers because we like just enjoyed that experience, and that's just what worked for us. The other thing is ease to get to. Tomorrowland Winter is very, very hard to get to. There's really only one way to get there, and that would be to get to Grenoble, whichever way that makes sense. For us, it made sense to fly into Paris, take a train to Grenoble, which was fairly affordable. And then once you're in Grenoble, we stayed a night there. So basically like we stayed the night of Friday the 20th there. And then in the morning we woke up on the 21st and we took the bus. It's called the Trans Altitude Bus. I'll link it down below. I've linked it in the video, to Alpe d'Huez, which is about an hour and a half. And it's a very cheap bus ride, and it's filled with Tomorrowland Winter people. So, you know, it's just an extra effort to get to, right? It is challenging. If you're a skier, you got all your ski gear, so you got to keep that in mind. Belgium is obviously easier to get to in the sense of like you could fly to Brussels, or if you're in Europe, you can easily train into Brussels, and then boom is about 30 to 40 minutes from Brussels. And like I said, from people that I know that literally stayed in Brussels or stayed in other hotels and bussed into Tomorrowland Summer every single day, they didn't have any crazy lines, any crazy issues getting in, no traffic in Belgium. So just keep that in mind. In terms of Tomorrowland Winter, like you have to stay like in the town, or like that Alpe d'Huez, that Oz, or that Aarhus area that I talked about. There's no like driving up this big hill that you'll see in my video of Tomorrowland Winter. There's no like coming in from elsewhere really for the day. Like you kind of have to stay. And then the main thing really that I would say with Tomorrowland Winter versus Summer is the length for what you get. So Tomorrowland's Winter and Tomorrowland Summer, they're both very expensive. You know, there's different ways to do them: cheaper, more expensive, ball out, more not ball out. But Tomorrowland Winter, when you buy that 7-day package, you can justify because you get 7 days of partying. You get a hotel for the 7 nights. Even though we got the most expensive hotel, we're like, okay, we're in the most expensive hotel for 7 nights. We are partying for 7 days straight. So like we're getting 7 days of DJs all day and all night. We're getting ski tickets included. And for us at our hotel specifically, they had meals included, which just watch the vlogs. I talk more about that. Like, so we could physically like just survive eating at our hotel and not go to any meals, etc., and be just fine. And by meals included too, I mean coffee and drinks. Like we could have literally not paid for a drink if we didn't want to in the festival area, which was amazing. So the length for what you get is more worth it. Tomorrowland Summer, you're paying about the same price, maybe a little less at the end of the day, because again, like transportation costs, but you are getting 3 days. You've got to, you know, buy the food, the drinks, the water, etc. Again, if you're staying at a hotel, I don't know, but I'm talking like you're staying in Dreamville. So again, pros and cons, but then in Tomorrowland Summer, you're getting the creme de la creme of experiences. So I probably missed some things that I have to say. I'm quickly looking at my notes to make sure. This might be an hour, I don't know, but I really hope that this helped you make a decision. Overall, Andrew actually prefers Tomorrowland Winter, and he thinks that the coordination is much, much better of Tomorrowland Winter, and really enjoyed it. And I agree with him on that. I think like I would be more likely to repeat Tomorrowland Winter several times, whereas like I don't know if this will be my last Tomorrowland Summer, but it will be for a long time, just because again, it is very expensive, of course, and I want to see other things in the world. You get a lot of good bang for your buck at Tomorrowland Winter. So with that said, I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you guys in a future video. I'm going to make one of these for the Circle Festival as well. If you do have any questions, always feel free to DM me. I'm really good with my DMs on Instagram at meglems, and you can find our Instagrams linked and everything, but I'm really good at responding, so I'm happy. I've already had a couple people DM me, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions as much as I can, or point you to someone who might know. Facebook groups are also a very helpful resource. They're very easy to find, so I'll drop some names of the Facebook groups in the description as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at Tomorrowland.